Why couldn't they leave the house? The Last House Explained. Warning, spoiler warning. Before we begin, this video contains major spoilers for Netflix's sci-fi thriller The Last House. We'll explain why Jason and his family were trapped inside their home, what the mysterious rain really was, whether the creatures were responsible, and the deeper meaning behind the movie's biggest mystery. With that said, let's get started. Imagine waking up one morning, walking toward your front door, turning the handle, and realizing that stepping outside means certain death. No police, no rescue, no explanation. Just endless rain, strange noises, and something watching from the darkness. That's exactly what happens to Jason and his family in The Last House. For years, they remain trapped inside a house that slowly becomes both their sanctuary and their prison. But why couldn't they leave? Was it because of the rain, the terrifying creatures, an invisible force? Or was the movie trying to tell us something much deeper? Let's break it all down. What happened at the beginning? The mystery begins almost immediately. Jason, his wife Riley, and their children suddenly find themselves trapped inside their isolated home. Outside, the world has completely changed. An endless rain falls day and night. Strange sounds echo through the darkness. Occasionally, shadowy figures appear beyond the windows. The family naturally assumes someone will rescue them. Surely the disaster is temporary. But every attempt to leave ends in failure. The front door won't truly lead to freedom. The outside world has become hostile. The family slowly realizes a terrifying truth. Their house is no longer simply their home. It's the only place keeping them alive. From that moment, the movie stops being a disaster film. It becomes a survival story. Not just against monsters, but against hopelessness itself. Was it really the rain? At first, the rain doesn't seem particularly unusual. It's simply heavy, relentless, never-ending. But the longer the movie continues, the stranger it becomes. This isn't normal weather. The rain almost behaves like a living barrier. Every attempt to escape is connected to it. The family quickly learns that going outside during the rain means almost certain death. The film never gives a scientific explanation. We don't hear about toxic chemicals, radiation, or biological contamination. Instead, the rain remains one of the movie's greatest mysteries. Later, we discover the creatures themselves appear connected to water. Their bodies resemble moving salt water. That immediately suggests the rain may not simply be weather. It may actually be part of the invasion itself. Perhaps the rain allows the creatures to move. Perhaps it gives them strength. Or perhaps it marks the territory they've claimed. The filmmakers never confirm any of these ideas. Instead, they let the audience connect the clues. Were the creatures the real reason? For most of the movie, the creatures remain hidden. We hear them before we see them. We sense them before we understand them. That choice makes them far scarier. Our imagination fills in the blanks. Eventually, the truth is revealed. The beings outside are alien creatures, made of what appears to be living salt water. But even then, questions remain. Why are they trapping humans? Why don't they simply kill everyone immediately? Why imprison families inside their own homes for years? The movie deliberately refuses to answer. Unlike Independence Day or War of the Worlds, this isn't really an alien invasion movie. The creatures exist more as a mysterious force than traditional villains. Their purpose isn't fully explained, and that's intentional. Sometimes, not knowing is far more frightening than knowing. The invisible barrier. One detail many viewers overlook is that it isn't just fear keeping the family inside. There's something physically preventing escape. Throughout the film, attempts to leave repeatedly fail. The doors become meaningless. The outside itself rejects them. It's almost as though an invisible wall surrounds the property. The family can't simply gather supplies, search for help, or drive away. They're completely isolated. This invisible prison becomes just as terrifying as the creatures themselves. Because they aren't choosing to stay, they're being forced to. That helplessness slowly destroys hope. Why was the house safe? This might be the movie's biggest unanswered question. If the outside world is so dangerous, why doesn't the same thing happen inside? Several possibilities exist. The first, the house itself somehow protects the family. Whether through coincidence, location, or something connected to the creatures, it functions like a sanctuary. Another possibility, the creatures simply can't enter. Perhaps there's a rule preventing them from crossing the boundary. Many supernatural stories use this idea. The home becomes sacred ground. There's also a more symbolic explanation. The house represents humanity's last remaining safe place. Everything outside has changed. Inside, life continues. Meals are shared, children grow older, birthdays pass, arguments happen, love survives. The house becomes a reminder of the world that existed before the disaster. Ironically, the place protecting them also becomes the place imprisoning them. Safety comes at the cost of freedom. Why didn't they risk escaping? Many viewers wonder why the family doesn't simply make one desperate run. The answer lies in psychology. At first, they believe rescue is coming. Then, fear takes over. As weeks become months, routine replaces hope. Humans adapt surprisingly quickly. Even terrible situations become normal if they last long enough. That's exactly what happens here. The family develops daily routines. They ration food, repair the house, protect one another. Eventually, leaving becomes even more frightening than staying. Not because the house is pleasant, but because the unknown is worse. The movie captures something very real about long-term isolation. Fear changes the way people think. Was Jason hiding the truth? Another fascinating question involves Jason himself. Throughout the movie, he often seems calmer than everyone else. He insists the family stay inside. He makes difficult decisions without explaining everything. That naturally raises suspicion. Did Jason know more than he admitted? Some viewers believe he understood the danger long before the others accepted it. Others think he simply became the family's protector, forced to appear confident even when he had no answers himself. There's another possibility. Jason wasn't hiding the truth. He was hiding his fear. Parents often do exactly that. They pretend everything will be okay, even when they're terrified. The movie cleverly leaves room for all these interpretations. The house slowly becomes the enemy. One of the film's most heartbreaking ideas is that the house itself slowly begins failing. The roof leaks, supplies disappear, walls weaken. The rain gradually destroys the only place keeping the family alive. Eventually, the house can no longer protect them. That's when everything changes. The creatures finally enter. The family is forced to fight, not because they suddenly become brave, but because they have no other choice. Their prison literally collapses around them. The real reason they couldn't leave here. Here's where the movie becomes much deeper. Yes, the rain trapped them. Yes, the creatures surrounded the house. Yes, some invisible force prevented escape. But those aren't the real reasons. The deeper answer is fear. The family becomes emotionally trapped long before the physical barrier matters. Isolation changes them. Cabin fever takes hold. Hope begins disappearing. Trust becomes difficult. The movie asks an uncomfortable question. If the doors suddenly opened, would everyone actually leave? Or had fear already built stronger walls than the creatures ever could? That's why the story resonates so deeply. It's not really about aliens. It's about what prolonged uncertainty does to ordinary people. The COVID connection. Many viewers noticed obvious similarities to the COVID lockdowns. Whether intentional or not, the parallels are impossible to ignore. Families confined indoors, fear of going outside, limited resources, isolation, emotional exhaustion. The Last House exaggerates these experiences through science fiction. Instead of a virus, the threat becomes mysterious alien creatures. But emotionally, the feelings remain remarkably familiar. The movie reminds us that survival isn't only physical. Mental endurance matters just as much. What finally allows them to leave? The biggest surprise comes near the ending. The family doesn't escape because they discover a secret weapon or defeat every creature. Instead, everything changes when Jason chooses compassion over violence. After battling one of the creatures, he shows mercy instead of delivering the final blow. That unexpected act changes the creature's response. Rather than continuing the attack, it allows the family to leave. Even the other creatures stand aside. Perhaps they had never encountered kindness before. Or perhaps the test was never about survival. It was about humanity. That's one of the film's most hopeful messages. Sometimes the way forward isn't through force, it's through empathy. Final thoughts. So, why couldn't Jason and his family leave the house? On the surface, because mysterious alien creatures, an endless rain, and an invisible force trapped them inside. But beneath the science fiction mystery, the answer is much more emotional. The house became both their sanctuary and their prison. The rain represented uncertainty. The creatures embodied the fear of the unknown. And the greatest battle wasn't against monsters, it was against despair. The Last House deliberately refuses to explain every detail because that's never the point. The movie isn't asking whether the aliens can be defeated. It's asking whether ordinary people can keep their humanity when hope seems impossible. In the end, leaving the house was never just about opening a door. It meant finding the courage to face a world that had completely changed, without allowing fear to change who they were. So what do you think? Were Jason and his family trapped by alien creatures or by fear itself? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Netflix explained videos, ending breakdowns, sci-fi mysteries, hidden meanings, and movie deep dives.